Hi guys, so Kwasi Kwarteng, the Chancellor, has delivered his mini budget and it was as bad as many people had predicted. Bad for ordinary people, but wonderful for the rich. Now, he defended banker bonuses and he made threats to people on universal credit that if they didn't seek work, they would lose whatever benefits they have. But the headliner was the removal of the top rate of tax. This is probably the greatest sweetener to the rich and the mega rich. The top rate of 45% will be abolished, so the new highest rate will be instead 40%. This will mean that people earning £5 million a year will pay the same rate as somebody on £50,000 a year. The top 600,000 earners will now save about £10,000 a year in tax, while ordinary people are struggling to pay bills. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
I have another measure. High tax rates damage Britain's competitiveness. They reduce the incentive to work, to invest and to start a business. And the higher the tax, the more ways people seek to avoid them, or work elsewhere, or simply work less, rather than putting their time and effort to more creative and productive ends. Take the additional rate of income tax. At 45%, it is currently higher than the headline top rate in G7 countries like the US and Italy. And it is even higher than social democracies like Norway. But I'm not going to cut the additional rate of tax today, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to abolish it altogether. From April the 23rd, we will have a single higher rate of income tax of 40%. This will simplify the tax system and make Britain more competitive. It will reward enterprise and work. It will incentivize growth. It will benefit the whole economy and the whole country. And Mr. Speaker, after all, this only returns us to the top rate we had for 20 years, including the entire time the opposition was last in power. Bar 1 month. And that's not all. I can announce today that we will cut the basic rate of income tax to 19 pence in April 2023, 1 year early. That means a tax cut for over 31 million people in just a few months' time. This means that we will have one of the most competitive and pro-growth income tax systems in the world.
Well, okay. So obviously this is a sweetener to the rich. They're getting a massive tax cut here. Now, he also mentioned that people on lower incomes will also receive a tax cut. But if you're earning a huge amount of money, 5% of a tax cut is a massive amount of money. If you're earning a low income, 5% or whatever the reduction is nothing compared to people on massive incomes. And notice how he said here that this will encourage people to work more. We're talking about people who probably don't even work. You know, the top earners, they're not going to work more if you give them a tax cut. This is absurd. But it's trying to convince ordinary people that, don't worry, if we give people tax cuts, they will work more, including the top 1%. Absolutely absurd. But this, as I've said before, is about providing sweeteners to the rich and the mega rich because the Tories are on their side and they want them to donate to the party at the next election. It's throwing ordinary people under a bus in order to win over the mega rich. The mega rich are already on your side, but you need to provide them something in order to continue that funnel of money into the Conservative Party. This doesn't help people. It doesn't help the economy. When the mega rich receive their tax cut, what do they do with it? They funnel it off into offshore bank accounts. They buy yachts with it. They buy Ferraris, things like this. These things don't stimulate the economy. If you give money to ordinary people, they spend it in the local economy. It's been proven. This is being sold as not trickle-down economics, but this is exactly what it is. Give money to the rich and sell it as, well, it will eventually trickle down to ordinary people. It's been debunked since the 1980s. It doesn't work. So we're going to see how commentators respond to this. We're going to see how experts respond to this. But I don't think this is going to be very popular. It may be sold to the average Express reader as a victory, but the average Express reader doesn't understand reality. But I think ordinary people watching this will come to the conclusion this government is not on our side. They're punishing people on universal credit. They're handing over millions of pounds to people who don't need it and will likely put it in offshore bank accounts or buy a new yacht or whatever. This is absurd. It's not going to stimulate the economy. It's just going to punish, once again, people who are already struggling. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.